Greetings everybody and welcome back to another livestream recap. As you might know, I'm ImagineerDave, the host of this channel, and I work towards Minecraft's most realistic railway. That being said, today I'd like to take you into the episodes 181 till 190 of the Create SMP series. So let's dive right into what happened, starting at episode 181. In episode 181 we start working on a new building. After in last episode we fixed up the inner docks to make space, it was now finally time to add more buildings to this somewhat empty area. Since I didn't really have a plan for it yet, it was some trial and error with wool first, and after a bit elements started to slowly piece together in my head. One thing that I did know, I wanted this building to be a little bit taller, just like the mud brick factory in the background. But this way it would stick out from the surrounding low shed-like buildings and it would give a nice contrast to the bridge. Did you really think a building is designed in one episode? In episode 182 it was time to finish off the building by adding details to the tower and adding the dome on top. For the dome I wanted something special to show off the importance of this building, since by now I knew this was going to be the harbor's office / hall for trading. After the onion shaped dome was ready and the build was complete, it was time to go into the server and boot up the trusty schematic cannon to get this new building on the server. As you can see in the time-lapse, the structural elements of the interior were already in the design and I built it along with the exterior itself. The actual interior is probably gonna be left out empty for a long while after this. From the biggest building in a while, we go back to the smallest things in a while. In episode 183 I didn't feel like building and went to set up the railroad barriers over at the lower Shepperton Junction. In the end it took a whole live stream to set this up because of complexity with the barriers, and after that they still didn't work properly. 20 episodes later it still has to be fixed, but maybe in the future. Do you remember that first livestream recap that I did around episode 60? Yeah, we built the farm there and started working on a combine harvester. Now, due to long delivery times and definitely not me being lazy and forgetful, 120 episodes later, in episode 184, it's finally here. Of course it wouldn't be an ImagineerDave creation without any overly complicated, most likely useless additions, so I made it folding. Now, all jokes aside, I think it looks really cool and adds so much when driving by on the rail line and seeing it outside of the window. So yeah, the farm is much more alive right now. You might think, where do you store all of this wheat? Well, before we covered that, there was a little intermezzo episode, because in episode 185, I worked on the mountain railway bridges. For some reason I got really inspired to build these bridges off stream and the design was ready for 185. The bridges were a little more difficult to design than I first thought, since the track is at a slight angle and the viaducts were a little higher than I believed. Nevertheless, I think they look really cool. Now I just need to finish the rest of the mountain railway, which I will do after this episode. Well, you know me just as well as I do know myself. So you always know the mountain railway will be abandoned again. Will probably not be finished in a while. This, however, left time to continue with something else. And that something else is actually continuing the farming area. Because in episode 186 we started the design of the storage silos to get somewhere for the wheat and seeds to go. Luckily enough, the episode was long enough to get them in game as well. After clearing the terrain, I cranked up the schematic cannons for another round of endless copycat placement, and after, a small handmade build to finish it off. I now had a proper system to store my products, however, what would I do with them? Well, of course, you use them for making bread. So in episode 187 I finished off the roads near the farm to get ready for transport. I wanted the cars to be able to drive underneath the silos to get loaded with goods, and for this place to also be a turnaround point. After the underground infrastructure was done, it was time to cover it up with some nice dirt roads and to get the first vehicle ready for service. Now that we have some new vehicles traveling the roads, I figure it would be good to finish off some parts of our road network and make them look a little bit nicer. As well as you know me by now, this was actually because I didn't have inspiration to work on new things and wanted to do some not brain heavy work on the world, which is of course also needed from time to time. This coming livestream actually really helped, because it sparked something inside of me. An idea, a concept, a new engine? Yes, a new engine. Or well, actually replacing an existing engine with an upgrade. In episode 189, I started the design of a new BR41 to run my services. Ever since the first BR41 rolled out of the sheds, I felt it was a little bit small. The mat coaches, as they are called, were almost taller than the engine itself, and this sparked me with some debate in my head. Besides this, others around on Discord were making really nice designs with smaller details, which boosted my need for new engines of course. Even though this design wasn't made with local metal, I eventually changed it up to use local metal to fit my world and other trains a little bit better. So you will see a difference in the clip of me building and designing it and building it in game. And to finish off this recap, in episode 190 the new engines were constructed inside the shed and were made ready for service. Of course, when new trains come in for service, something has to be done with the old engines. A future museum piece or static display, perhaps? Well, we'll see in the future, of course. And with that being said, that was it for this livestream recap. This recap surely was a mixture of many components of the world. In the end, all of these components together is what makes the atmosphere that I want to achieve in this world, of course, so we'll just continue doing that mix. As always, I want to thank you so much for following along, as it really helps me to stay motivated and make more plans. If you want to check out these live streams, be sure to join my Discord down below to get notified when I'm live, or follow me here on YouTube to get community notifications. If you are looking for schematics, some can be found over at my Discord and others at my Patreon page. Again, I'd like to thank you for watching. This is ImagineerDave, signing off, so bye bye!